Let us begin now, Be'ez Hashem, the next bracha, which is an important bracha, Es Tzemach David. If I remember correctly, when we gave shir on the Inyanim of Mashiach, we mentioned, I think it was Rabbi Yosef Salant, if I'm not mistaken, that when he used to make this bracha, Es Tzemach David, in Shemonei Esrei 3 times a day, before he made the bracha, he would stop, he would look around, and then he would say Es Tzemach David. And they said to him, Rebbe, like, isn't that like a hefsek or like in the middle of Shemonei Esrei? He said, no, I don't want it to be a bracha levatollah, so I just wanted to make sure Mashiach wasn't here before I said the bracha. So, and he wasn't a joke, it wasn't an exaggeration, it was be'emes, it was real. We're dealing with a bracha that's a very, very important bracha, a bracha that is a fundamental of our Yiddishkeit. The Rambam counts this as one of the 13 ikrim, right? The Yud Gimel ikrim of Munun Hashem. And after Yerushalayim is built, or rebuilt, which is the bracha we mentioned yesterday, the Beis HaMikdash can now be restored. And the Gemara tells us in Megillah Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis that this whole process, after the whole process is done, Malchus Beis David can then reign, and in this bracha we daven for Mashiach. Now, if a person has a problem, they should recognize that the reason that we have a problem, and the reason why it's difficult for us to be able to find a solution to any problem that we have, is because we don't have Mashiach. We have an absence of a huge Shechina in the world, and specifically in Yerushalayim. So we're davening something very, very special. It's true throughout the history, and especially true now over here, where we're dealing with, East Sorah, where there's a Muhammad and people are putting their lives at risk, and there's hostages, and there's people dying. It's a very, very sad situation. And of course, we don't want Mashiach only for that reason, but it's an additional reason to daven for Mashiach, is we want the Rabbeinu Shalom to have a Gilui HaShechina, and we want all the problems in the world to end, and that happens with Mashiach. And that is one of the things we should really think about in this bracha, is the coming of Mashiach, the importance of Mashiach, and what Mashiach will do to our lives, and Yiddishkeit in general, and our connection to Hashem. So we start. Es Tzemach David avdocha meheres hatzmiach. The offsprings of your servant David, may you speedily cause to flourish. The Radak explains that Klal Yisrael in Golus is like a tree that's withered down, and it leaves like a small shoot sprouting from its trunk. The entire tree is reliant on that shoot to resuscitate it. The same is true, says the Radak, with Golus. Every single one of us are hopefully waiting for the dynasty of David to bring up Klal Yisrael. Even though in Tanakh we find Melech Mashiach refers to Tzemach, right, to sprout. That's what the Radak says, refers as a sprout. We ask here, Rabbi Shalom, please hurry up the process. We cannot bear to wait so long. One of the Gedolim once said, if I would have known at the end of my life that Mashiach wouldn't have come, I don't think I would have made it through to the end of my life. I just kept me hanging on, knowing that any moment Mashiach can come. And by the big tzaddikim, they are waiting for Mashiach in a real emistic way. And that's the plan. Klal Yisrael becomes much better, much more connected. Speed, by the way, is a very important concept to understand pre-Mashiach times. There's a Gemara in Avodah Zorah, Daf Ches Amud Aleph. The Gemara tells us that human history spanned 6,000 years. The Ramban explains each millennia represents one day of the 6 days of creation. The last millennium that we're standing in right now, right, is corresponding to the 6th day, which is Erev Shabbos. The Chavetz Chaim says that one of the clearest indications that pre-Mashiach is speed is like running errands and getting ready right before Shabbos, right? We all know, right before Shabbos, we speed up and we're busy and we're running because we've got no time, whatever it is, doesn't make a difference. It's irrelevant what time Shabbos comes in. We're always going to be running, we're always going to be in a rush. And therefore, there's so much going on in the world. The way that news, for example, hits, it like literally worldwide within split seconds, everything gets sped up. And the Chavetz Chaim says that means it's a sign that we're very close to the time of Mashiach arriving. Enhance his pride through your salvation. The word karnoi literally means a horn. And since the strength and beauty of an animal is generally highlighted by its horn, it's a sign of its glory. Rabbi Schwab Zatzal explains that Mashiach has 2 roles to play. Number 1, to bring order into the world and to overpower the Rishonim. And number 2, to be the spiritual influence on Klal Yisrael in order to purify us. Remember that after 120 years, the very first question that we're going to be asked, one of the first questions, is were we actually waiting for Mashiach to come? Did we yearn for his arrival in order to bring us up? And if we're going to answer that in the negative, we're going to be in big trouble from day number 1, from minute number 1 up in Shemayim by the base in Shamala. We hope for your salvation all day. The world reflects 12 principles of anticipation for Mashiach every single day. This interesting expression, Kol Hayoim. Kol Hayoim. We hope for your salvation all day. What does that mean? Not every day only, but we should, our actions should constantly, show that we're always waiting for Hashem, right? And therefore it should be that this is on the forefront of our mind. We should be busy, of course, fighting for survival, Parnasa Yetzirah, but we don't realize how much we need the Geula and how much it will help us. And as we end, Baruch Atah Hashem, Matzmiach Keren Yeshua, who makes the horn of salvation sprout forth. We are finishing the bracha of davening for Mashiach. We end with showing full emunah for Hashem, that we trust in Him to bring the Geula. Shulchan, by the way, there are two thoughts that everyone should have when you say this bracha at this point right now. What are the two thoughts that you're meant to have in Shemonei Esrei? Shulchan Halacha Lamaaseh. Number one, yearning for salvation is so great that this should be one of the most questions, the first ones that we get asked after we leave the world. And number two, the Rebbeinu Shem can make this salvation happen so many times throughout the day. We have to constantly hope and realize that every single little thing matters. Now we'll end with this Maisa of Dov Ber Miradishitz, where he was staying in an inn for the night, and in the morning he approached the innkeeper and he asked about the clock on the wall in his room, and he explained, I just couldn't sleep because it was ticking so loud. The Radishitzer said, I couldn't sleep. It was the noise of the ticking was too loud. Anyone, if you recognize this story, I said this by the Heilige Chozeh Lublin in Poland. But Al Koponin, they traced the clock back. It was a ganz Hamaisa, so we're not going to go into it. They traced it back to the Chozeh Lublin, who originally had this clock in his study, and it made it over to the innkeeper for whatever reason it was. And since the Chozeh was so involved waiting for Mashiach, every single second that the clock was ticking for the Chozeh meant it was a second closer to the Geula. So that clock represented the coming of Mashiach, and therefore the Radishitz wasn't able to sleep over there. And although it's a high level and we're not holding there, but we should try on our small level to aspire to this, to really yearn and to really wait and to be excited in anticipation of waiting for Mashiach. And we hope Be'ez Hashem later today we're going to have Mashiach. Join us tomorrow for the very important Shema Kalenu.